Welcome to Voices for Impact, the podcast. Started during the COVID-19 pandemic and made in Syracuse, Voices for Impact is full of conversations with thought leaders from around the world that have made significant accomplishments in their lives and have gone through their own challenges, but have made it through those adversities and made positive impacts through their work. I'm your host, Danielle Mensing, and as a fundraiser for a nonprofit, I believe the most valuable tool you can give yourself is making a positive impact on others and your community. Every conversation is going to give you tools and tactics from entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, and change makers that will encourage you to develop a growth mindset and reimagine how you can find your purpose. Now let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Voices for Impact. My name is Danielle Mensing, founder of Voices for Impact, and today I am chatting with Chedy Hampson. He is the founder and CEO of TCGplayer, a Syracuse-based technology company that powers the largest online marketplace for trading card games while helping brick and mortar retailers across the country grow their business. Hampson's built an award-winning company culture that's made TCGplayer one of the fastest growing companies in Central New York, expanding over 300 team members in just 5 years since moving downtown. And TCGplayer's expanding headquarters in the galleries, which recently just doubled in size, will help them continue this growth through their national recruiting efforts. TCGplayer was named the 2017 Business of the Year by Center State CEO for companies over 50 employees. And his company has also earned spots on statewide and national lists, including the top 50 companies in New York and Fortune's 100 best workplaces for women. He attended Corcoran High School and is excited to just be connected to all things great happening in Syracuse. So thank you so much for having a conversation with me today.
Thank you, Danielle.
Can you take us back to the very beginning? How did TCGplayer start? What inspired you to create an online marketplace for trading card games?
You're asking me to go back a long ways. So over 20 years ago, this has been a long operation. I was working in a brick and mortar store, comic book store in Syracuse, New York, and my co-founder was working in another competing comic book store. And so we were buying, selling sports cards, comic books, Magic the Gathering and Pokemon when they came on the scenes. We got into those. We started traveling the country. We were running events for those, playing. I got to go to Paris and play Magic the Gathering. Just fantastic times. And I pitched the idea of a website to my boss at the comic book store. Like the internet was just coming up. I'm like, hey, I can build you a website. He said yes. And then I went, I need to go figure out how to build a website. That experience of learning how to code, grabbing Ray, who could do graphic design, that turned into like a local web design business. Mm-hmm. We only got up to about 5 customers before I realized I didn't like working on behalf of other people. Like one person asked us to build a website that had the door on the front of it open up because nobody would know to come inside to the website. So just dealing with those types of things that you have, I'm sure that Jeff Nouse over at Digital Hive has to deal with all the time. So we took that concept, that knowledge, and we loved these card games, and we started building websites for them. All of a sudden, checks from Nintendo and Hasbro started coming in, and I took the leap by quitting my full-time job, and we were essentially publishing content and articles about how to be better at the game. Mm-hmm. Those relationships with brick and mortar stores across the country who wanted to advertise on a website turned into the concept of, I think we could build something that's different than eBay. The experience, the shopping would make more sense for collectibles, the way you buy them, these sort of comic books and card games. And about 10 years ago, we built a marketplace. Mm-hmm. It was not great, but it did the trick of finally showing people all the prices in one point, a catalog. We built that out for a lot of different product lines over the years. We have moved right now, I think we have nearly 20,000 sellers active on the platform each month, with about 3,000 of those being brick and mortar stores. Millions of people have made purchases from the marketplace over the years. and we're right on the cusp right now. One of the things you didn't announce was we just had a chief marketing officer who joined us this week. So that's a new executive member to add to the team. And so we're getting ready to think about new product lines and going back to our roots, comic books, sports cards, board games, and adding those all onto the platform. So it's been quite a journey.
That is so exciting. So you went from just working in a comic book store, and you didn't know how to build a website. You just figured it out.
Figured it out. I went to the library, the one in Galleries on Salina Street. I remember taking out HTML for Dummies. So it worked.
Oh my gosh. So that really takes a lot of initiative and drive to just say, hey, I want to do this, and then figure out, oh, wait, I got to figure out how to do this and then make it happen.
Yeah. A lot of initiative, a lot of drive, a lot of fear. I didn't have a path in front of me that had a lot of opportunities. So when you get one presented to you, you grab it and you run at it.
Yeah. You just mentioned fear. How do you overcome fears? How do you get through those moments of being scared about something and overcoming them?
First and foremost, usually the things I'm scared of, like let's say presenting or doing interviews or whatever it might be, there's so many people that I'm responsible now, and there's like no way to shirk that duty. So right then and there, you can't run from it anymore because I am the CEO. I have to do it. There is just a lot of focus on putting yourself in the right mindset as well, looking at the positive outcome that's going to be there. What it can mean for your team, your people, your coworkers. So it's always, yeah, this is scary to me, but how can I turn this into something that might be positive, well, for myself or for others?
That's a great response. And it's so hard to keep that positive mindset. So what do you tell yourself in those moments? How do you take a moment and in order to tackle those tasks that you have to do?
Yeah. Just in regard to fear or to regards to like having a positive mindset?
Yeah, I guess in a positive mindset.
Yeah. I mean, that, I'll be honest, I wasn't always in a positive mindset, especially my upbringing. It didn't feel like things were lined up for me. You start to get into a negative mindset. You look at what's worse in things to begin with. And it took training. Like it is, positive mindset isn't given to people, and some people are happy and some people aren't. You build your way towards that or out of it. And so I have put a ton of effort into, you have something presented to you that's negative or that looks like it's bad, you have to then pause for a moment, think about what the upside could be, and that sort of makes it not seem like the negative portion is the whole portion. It's just a tiny portion, and now you can try and plot a path towards the positive side.
That's some really good advice, because especially now with everything happening outside in the world, it's hard to go back to that positive mindset and find the good things that are happening. So pausing and that's really great advice to when you're in the moment of trying to keep that positive mindset. Now I see so many collectibles and items behind you. I have to assume that you have your own personal collection of rare cards and items. So what is the most valuable card you've collected or item you've collected that is personal to you?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to have a great answer for you. I have liquidated, I've moved between states over time, and I've gotten rid of my comics, my card. All of my cards went to the company. When we launched our fulfillment business, I gave everything I had to the company to help launch that. I've got a few iconic things left. I just recently got a Don Russ rookie card for Don Mattingly. That was the first card I ever traded with another person, the kid across the street. I traded that to him. It was worth about $60. He traded me a card that was worth a nickel. And I didn't know that at the time. That's when I went out and got my first price guide. And that sort of started the, hey, these things have value. They're not just cool. Yeah. And so I always have that one as a reminder. And then the rest of it is, a lot of it was all that first website we built for the comic book store. He didn't pay us in cash. He paid us in store credit. So a lot of these were purchased using that store credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still think back to when I got my first, I had like a binder full of Pokemon cards.
Oh yeah.
And my dad gave them away, I think, to either my boy cousin or somebody else. And I am still upset about it to this day because they have to be worth, I don't even want to think, because they were the originals, like when they first
Yeah.
came out.
This
But
is the best of times for Pokemon. It is just exploded.
good memories though.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
what has been your most satisfying moment in business?
About 4 years ago, we launched a stock option plan for the employees. Um, Typically, even at tech companies, stock options are provided to employees, but typically only executives or maybe high engineers. And certainly not the entire company, not fulfillment center employees or anything like that. I had to almost verbally get in fights with lawyers about my plans to launch it for the entire company. They said it would be a lot of overhead. So I would say right now I'm thrilled that there's over 300 employees at TCGplayer that all own stock or have stock options, the ability to buy stock in the company, especially with how things have been going for us. I'm just really proud that they've all helped build this, and hopefully one day they get rewarded for that.
That's amazing. And then I think that that's so significant of your company, TCGplayer. You've been so innovative in with your employees and your workplace culture. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because just going into your building, it's a little different than your typical workspace, but you intentionally wanted it that way. Can you explain kind of your workplace culture and how it's helping employees in your culture to thrive?
Yeah, the culture has been, one of my proudest moments as well, of taking that feeling I had inside the comic book store, that you were all best friends, you were all interested in the same things, you left work, you went to concerts or the clubs together, and you had great conversations. It didn't feel like you were ever at work or outside of work. It was just, I'm with my friends. And the idea was, how do we duplicate that at TCGplayer? Even when we were 10 employees, I traveled to Las Vegas and went to Zappos, the shoe company, who was being recognized as the greatest culture in the company or country at the time. We studied with them, learned tricks from them. We read great books, and we built a core value system from all the employees, fed into it of what they wanted the workplace to be. And then we labeled on top of that that we're all geeks. Let's build out a workplace that we feel like we're going to, that celebrates everything we want everybody to know about us. But then we got really lucky with the gallery space being retail, with the idea that we were already thinking about these rooms, these theme rooms. Why don't we let the community celebrate our quirkiness with us? And hopefully the concept was, Syracuse is going to be a technology city. Let's excite people about this company at least, and maybe we can hopefully spread that out. And just the amount of selfies that happen in front of our offices, people at the Hotel Syracuse.
Free marketing, free promotion.
It is. It's great. And hopefully those kids learn to code or do something because they're like, I get to go work there. They're like, yeah, you do.
That's awesome. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs and business owners?
I have so much advice for them, but I think especially with the journey of TCGplayer, there was no concept to be a marketplace, no concept to do fulfillment on behalf of brick and mortar stores. Like, the business has always evolved and grown. So I would say never think that whatever moment you're in right now is how things are, what the future is, or that that's your cap. You can always come up with another concept. Your employees can come up with a new idea. It can be injected, and your company will go in directions you never planned. So it sort of bleeds back to always be prepared in learning and ability, like take on change. Like, just because you might be a financial institution head on, that doesn't mean that's always what you have to be. You can sort of sprawl into new areas of business. And at the very least, that's been the story of us. I never thought we'd ship cards on behalf of sellers. I didn't even know how to do it. And now we're the largest in the country. And it was not by intent. I just saw a problem and wanted to fix it.
Yeah. So always being open to change and seeing where things can improve or there's an opportunity, and being open to capitalize on that.
Yes.
Good advice. My next question is, what is a challenge you've overcome and how did you get through that adversity within your business?
Um, I'd say the biggest challenge, and it's not that I've overcome it, it's probably going to be a forever challenge, but it's especially with the chief marketing officer growing this week, it's on my mind. The heaviest is building a great leadership team. Especially as for a company like mine, from 10 to 50 to 100 to 300, at every stage, we're a completely different company that has to operate completely differently, new communities we're interacting with, new experiences needed. And the ability to learn what you don't know, mm-hmm. Get out there and network with people, talk with them. Like, I don't understand a single thing about marketing. Can you introduce me to people that do? And spend the months and the time learning about what you might want to bring into your company and then going after it and bringing that great knowledge and experience in. And I'm hopeful that we continue to grow. That's never going to change. I'm always seeking out what's the next great person that needs to be by my side. And that just helps me get better, but helps the entire leadership team. And it's always something I never have any knowledge about. I got to go learn.
So having good people on your team, because you can't be the person that knows it all. You have to hire the other people that know more than you about a particular avenue, marketing.
Yeah, if you know it all, then you're not a company that's going to scale very well.
Good point.
Take any days off, I guess.
Yeah. So what drives you?
Oh, the people. Yeah, I mean, and I mean that like my coworkers, I feel deep connections and ties to all of them. And the communities we're serving, these local gaming stores, when I talk to the owners, I feel like it's my boss back in the day. We're trying to solve problems and do things that I call it a wow experience, which comes out of Zappos book, that blows people away that they didn't think you could do that. So the way we're solving business problems for these brick and mortar stores, I think creates excitement and admiration from them, but the same thing from my coworkers. What are the new benefits we can offer? What's a new way to tackle compensation? Whatever it might be, we've got a great team we put together. It's always thinking about, don't just try and be equal to somebody else. How do you get and lead, I guess I would say.
Yeah. And then what is a skill or characteristic about you that you think has allowed you to reach your goals and dreams in life and build this amazing kind of empire?
Yeah. My best skill, and it's one of the core values at TCGplayer, it's called a quest for knowledge. I was awful in school, a D student at best. It wasn't like a part of my family conversations, education, or it was sports and, go hit the baseball. And when that didn't play out, that's what brought me to the brick and mortar store. And that opportunity that boss provided me, from that moment of going to the library to get that book, it's never stopped. It's what's the next book to read? What's the next audiobook, TED Talk to watch? How do I learn who the next executive that has to be here? It's the thrill of learning the next new thing and then bringing that back.
Oh, that's such a good point. And I think that so many people, and I'm not talking generalizing, but don't think about the fact that you don't have to have a traditional schooling education to succeed in life. We have the internet today, we have Google, and it's uncapped the amount of knowledge that you can learn from that. But just like you're saying, it's always being hungry to learn more.
Absolutely. It's the best trait.
My last question for you is, how do you define success?
I define success by the happiness of both my coworkers and the communities that we affect. So earlier in our conversation, we talked about wowing the customer. It really is, if they're not happy, the employee base, if they're not leaving great reviews or telling the HR team how wonderful this place is to work at or how great the benefits are, if the sellers aren't saying that they believe that we've helped change the course of their business, then it doesn't feel like you're being successful. You're just sort of operating at average level. So it's that ability to have people give you great and positive feedback. Like I subscribe and read everything that's written about TCGplayer online. I know I shouldn't, but it's always digging in and going, yeah, they're great, leaving great feedback, or why isn't that one person happy? What can we do better?
That is such a great point. You're really what you're saying is it's about the people at the end of the day. As a leader, you're not saying, or you're not having this boss mentality, I know everything, but more of a leader of listening from the ground up of how you can grow and be better with your business.
Yeah, I mean, a leader makes others better. It's not telling people what to do. It's how do you grow them and get them to move up in their careers or in their businesses.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
giving us some insight into your story. And thank you so much to our viewers for watching. Voices for Impact is on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, as well as Apple and iHeartRadio podcast platforms. So please follow and subscribe to stay connected. And I will see you next time on Voices for Impact.